Alrighty, what is up guys, and welcome back to my channel. You're watching the daily series of Nwadei MMA, where I give you my thoughts, but more importantly, ask for yours, as you guys are the MMA community, and you know, this community is just way too fast moving for me to cover all by myself, so I need your guys' help. Please. So if you're watching this video and you feel like you're in a good mood, then go ahead and leave a thumbs up on this video. Yes, smash the like button to support me and my content, given that this channel was taken down at 2.5k subscribers. So if you want to help return this channel to its former glory, then please go ahead and do so. And you're more than welcome to subscribe to this channel for more daily MMA content and in-depth fight analysis. We do fight reactions, fight analysis, predictions, breakdowns, anything you might want or anything you might be looking for on your MMA journey, as we do technique breakdowns and advice as well. So guys, welcome to my journey, welcome to Nwadei MMA, and I hope you have just as good of a time as I have breaking these fights down. However, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right in to Marlon Vera versus Cory Sandhagen. My god, what a fight. Okay guys, so first things first, I think that it's very important to say that this is probably one of the best fights that the UFC could put on in any weight class in 2023, because it's two of the highest level competitors in the division. I mean, arguably Marlon Vera could have received a title shot before this fight. Arguably Cory Sandhagen, I mean, he's had a title shot before this fight. So it's a former contender versus a current contender, and they're going to be scrapping it out, and it's going to be a high level, high pace, high action battle. There's nothing more you can ask for, right? And so I think when talking about this fight and discussing how close it is, we have to really realize that these two fighters they have a lot of similarities, but they also have their differences, right? A lot of their similarities come in the form that they are both very skilled. I think that Cory Sandhagen maybe is the more technical fighter, while Marlon Vera has the more heart, but they both have skill, they both have heart. And yeah, I mean, when have you ever seen either of these people kind of call it quits? You haven't seen it. And when breaking this fight down, getting into the nitty gritty, you know, like not MMA guru, that's not what we do. We don't talk about, oh, this fighter's older than this fighter, and so this fighter's probably gonna win. No. We get into the nitty gritty here at Nwadei MMA. So when we actually talk about these fighters' styles and get into detail about how they fight, when we look at Cory Sandhagen, we have to take note of a few of the things that he does really well, like implementing his jab. He goes high, he goes low, he touches with it, he puts power behind it. He does everything that you're supposed to do with a jab. He's really good footwork, and he's really good about mixing it up. And if we're talking about the evolution, I feel like he's gone through a metamorphosis since that fight with TJ Dillashaw, and also a bit with that fight with Aljamain Sterling. He's talked about wanting to get more aggressive, and then in the TJ Dillashaw fight, after getting like a little bit outpointed or dealing with someone who wants to wrestle with him and just hold him against the cage, he's, I guess, developing that almost championship IQ to where now he's the one mixing it up. I mean, before those fights, you've seen that he kind of liked to float around, throw a bunch of leg kicks, and that when his opponents start opening up, look for the big shots like flying knees or spinning back kicks and those kind of things. But since that fight with TJ Dillashaw, I mean, go ahead and look at his fight with Song Yadong against a guy who has beaten Marlon Vera, a guy who would give any champ the run for his money any given day. Against Song Yadong, he attempted 14 takedowns. Now, if that doesn't change the striking battle, then I don't know what is. Even though he didn't land all of those takedowns, the act of him taking him down and just the act of defending takedowns and getting back up, it fatigues you, it changes the way you strike. You're going to be less active, you're going to be thinking about more things. And I think that's very important when talking about him going into this fight against Chito Vera. Now, if we're breaking down the way Chito Vera fights, we know that he really loves that high guard. He is really good about letting shots kind of roll off, and he begins his down low process. And then if he can't reach you with his hands, he's very good about throwing a lot of traditional style kicks, side kicks, front kicks, X kicks, hook kicks, spinning hook kicks, anything in the book as far as a traditional style kick goes, and he's thrown it. I think it's actually important to talk about that high guard, because this is not going to be the first time that Cory Sandhagen has faced someone using a high guard like that. He went against Petr Yan on 2 weeks notice, and he was doing very well at the beginning, but then Petr Yan started making some adjustments, and Cory Sandhagen started headhunting more. He stopped going to the legs, he stopped going to the body, and things kind of started to unravel difficult for him, and he even stopped going after the takedown. I mean, you could see that in order to try and stop Petr Yan's pressure, he was even almost like pushing off of his high guard, just trying to get that space back so that he could land his strikes at range, which is smart. But there's also other things he could have done, like implement those upward elbows the way he implemented them against Song Yadong. That's something that he's also developed since that fight. But going back to Marlon Vera, the difference between Yan and Marlon Vera is that Marlon Vera is not as boxing heavy. He's going to let his kicks set up his hands. He's going to cut off your footwork with his kicks, similar to the way he did against Petr Yan and the way he tried to do against Dominick Cruz. However, against Dominick Cruz, since he couldn't reach the legs of Dominick Cruz, he was always out of range. He couldn't really reach him with the boxing. Dominick Cruz is really good about getting his head off the center line and circling out before his back hits the cage. And against guys like that, you have to start going high towards their head. It leaves that opening. And when he found that opening, he used his hands to set up that high kick, ended up breaking Dominick Cruz's nose while knocking him out. And that was all she wrote. And so when we're talking about these former matchups and their styles and how they play going against each other, they fought similar opponents to each other before. I mean, like I just mentioned, Marlon Vera has faced Sean O'Malley and Dominick Cruz, both people who like to use that footwork, who like to switch those stances. And against Sean O'Malley, he was able to hit the legs, and he ended up getting him to the ground and finishing him there. Against Dominick Cruz, like I just mentioned, he wasn't able to get to the legs and cut off the footwork, and so he ended up having to go high after getting outpointed for a few of those rounds. And I think this is something that is another talking point to talk about when talking about Cory Sandhagen, because Cory Sandhagen trains at altitude and he's not going to get tired. The only time I've really seen him fatigue was against Petr Yan, and that was mainly because he took that fight on 2 weeks notice. He's going into a 5-round fight. He really didn't even start fatiguing until like the 4th round, maybe the 3rd round a little bit. But not only was he dealing with that, he was also dealing with a constant pressure forward style, which now we know he kind of has the tools to deal with. If they're coming forward too much, like how Song Yadong was, he's going to be looking to shoot the takedowns, and that disrupts everything that has to do with the high guard. Petr Yan is really the only fighter who has used that high guard similar to the way that Cheeto does, and we saw him beat Cory Sandhagen. But that's not to say that Cory Sandhagen wouldn't beat him if he was on a full camp or with the developments that he's made in his game now. So another thing we have to look at is the way that Merab Dvalishvili really beat Petr Yan, because this is point A on how to beat a guy with a high guard. If he's coming in forward and he's covering his head the way Petr Yan does so well with that high guard, why not shoot underneath? His hands are already up. You can get into the legs and start attacking that, make him defend, get him fatigued in that way, or maybe even get him down and start implementing some of your ground game or look to damage him while he's on the ground. I think that Cory Sandhagen using his jab into his takedowns and into those up elbows and inside elbows and stuff like that is going to be paramount against a guy like Marlon Vera, who is going to be trying to download him early, who is going to be trying to keep that pressure on him. And so now that I've broken down this fight and their styles, I want to kind of talk about how their styles match up with each other. So I think that Marlon Vera, I mean, he's a murderer. We know this. He fights to kill, he trains to kill. It's not about winning rounds with him, it's about winning the fight, right? So you might lose a couple battles like the way he did against Rob Font, and then right at the end of it, he'll come in and try and rock you or knock you out. And Cory Sandhagen's fully aware of this. However, we also have to realize that Jose Aldo was able to take him down and outpoint him that way. I think that he is a little bit too easy to take down. I think his takedown defense is a little suspect. Obviously, if he's expecting it, then he is really good about using his takedown defense. There's really not many errors that he has, especially with cage grappling. But using that high guard, if his hands are up high, which they will be with Cory Sandhagen, using that jab, peppering him up high, and maybe looking to kick his legs, he's going to be using that almost Muay Thai style, lifting his leg up, checking with that high guard. And I think that is going to open up the takedowns for Cory Sandhagen. That is what's going to help Cory Sandhagen win this fight. And so if I'm making my official prediction, I am predicting Cory Sandhagen to win. A little bit earlier, if y'all followed my past channel, I did pick Marlon Vera to win, and that was mainly because I remembered Cory Sandhagen getting tired against Petr Yan, and I know that he has that style that can really hunt people down. And the fact that he's gonna be looking to kick the legs and he's gonna be looking to kick the head coming off of those circle outs, and Cory Sandhagen is one of those guys who likes to switch stances and circle out and lean his head the way that he's circling out. He is one of those guys, but I think that Cory Sandhagen, he's made a big adjustment in his game to where he's not always going backward anymore. I mean, against Song Yadong, you can really notice that he has been working on his forward pressure. He's been working on his legitimate kickboxing and not just staying on the outside and using the big octagon to his advantage. And not only that, but he's been training with guys like Superlek, world champion kickboxer out of One Championship. By the way, guys, I do break down One Championship fights too, so if y'all are looking to get into One Championship, big fights coming soon, then please stay tuned on my channel and hit that bell icon to be notified when I do drop those kind of videos. But getting back into it, he has been training with Superlek, and so I think he's going to be ready for all those traditional and Muay Thai style kicks that Marlon Vera is going to bring. I think he's going to be ready for that pressure forward style that Marlon Vera is going to bring. I mean, he's fought it before. Marlon Vera is 2-0 against similar footwork styles like Cory Sandhagen, so I think that is a big reason why this fight is going to be so close. But I think that Cory Sandhagen is he's really hungry right now. He's made some mistakes, he's learned from them. I think he's had more competition at the higher levels, just fighting guys like Petr Yan and fighting guys and like Song Yadong, kind of like the new era of guys. And then he's also had his fight against the old guard and TJ Dillashaw. And I think that all of these lessons that he's learned, I mean, he's really never been dominated in any of these fights. All these lessons that he's learned, I think, have just almost morphed him into his own perfect style. And I think he is a little bit closer to his perfect style than Marlon Vera is to his so far. And I think that the way he's gonna add up these strikes in the first couple of rounds, I could see Cory Sandhagen winning the first 2, maybe even 3 rounds, and then having the fight of his life in the last 4th and 5th round. And so with that being said, I don't see Marlon Vera necessarily knocking him out in the 4th and 5th round. Yes, there could be a lot of damage done, but I see this fight either going to decision or being stopped late, and I see Cory Sandhagen getting his hand raised. So guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you are looking to support my channel, if you liked the video that you just watched today, then go ahead and leave a like on this video, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want more content to pop up on your page like this one. Thank you guys for watching. As always, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out. Peace.